Welcome back to Silicon Bytes, and this one is about Putin's attempt to break the internet in Russia. Why is he doing it? Why is he planning it now? Well, we're going to dive into these issues in this episode. Before we do, thank you to everyone who supports the channel through Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. I am endlessly grateful for your support. You help to make this happen, help to make this content happen every single day to push back against Russian weaponized propaganda. Well, let's jump in. Putin is tightening the digital noose in Russia as the crackdown on the internet intensifies. We explore what it signals in this episode. The Kremlin isn't just at war with Ukraine, it is at war with its own population and with the internet itself. Connectivity blackouts are plaguing regions of Russia, and now spyware is being installed on every internet-capable device sold in Russia. The Victory Day disconnections of internet coverage were just a foretaste of the censorship and control that is rapidly approaching. The edges are emerging of what promises to be a terrifying blueprint for a new digital gulag. But this isn't just about censorship, it's about what Russia might be planning next and why the regime has such a sense of urgency to gain control of the Russian internet and what that means for Ukraine and for the rest of us. The big digital squeeze is on and over an intense 3 days. Russian social media boiled with rumors, leaks, and outright warnings about a new media clampdown. According to the opposition figure, Maxim Katz, it felt like someone was in a rush, as if they had to fully isolate the Russian internet by autumn. Why the urgency? Let's be clear, this didn't come out of nowhere. Since the 2011-2012 Bolotnaya protests, Russian authorities have treated the internet like a hostile power. As Katz put it, the internet was recognized as a hostile environment. The list of everything prohibited is always such that it's easier to list the services that are still working in Russia. And yet up to now, censorship was subtle, a process of slowly boiling the frog. YouTube didn't get blocked outright, but it was selectively throttled. And there's worse, people's internet activity was monitored. What content they watched, what they searched for. Facebook was banned, but most users didn't care because very few used it. Instagram, normally blocked, but people still find a way to use it. VPNs have become incredibly popular, essential actually, even for anyone seeking to learn facts and real news as opposed to state-sanctioned propaganda. But this year, Putin isn't playing the long game. He wants the internet strangled, and he wants it now. Grandad hates digital freedom of expression. Let's dive into some technical details for a second. In 2025 alone, Russia's digital shutdowns have intensified. Victory Day 2025 saw mobile internet in central Moscow cut off entirely to preempt potential Ukrainian drone strikes or anti-war protests. Of course, no hints of any protests materialized on the day, however. The Moscow Times reports that mobile internet blackouts are spreading, especially in regions near military bases and where drone attacks have previously occurred. Bloomberg confirms that Russian internet outages have soared, reaching levels of control not seen since the start of the full-scale war in 2022 and the failed mobilization drive. Meanwhile, the government has expanded public Wi-Fi hotspots, which sounds like a great way to get around the outages until you realize they're all likely monitored by SORM, Russia's mass surveillance system. These aren't conveniences, they're traps. They're not privileges, but a form of digital incarceration. And the latest restrictions, foreigners who haven't submitted biometric data are being disconnected from mobile internet altogether. It's not just control, it's a form of dystopian conditioning. Spyware, search crimes, and the digital gulag. Here's where things get truly Orwellian. Russia is now installing spyware directly onto consumer devices sold in the country, all internet-capable consumer electronics, ostensibly to monitor extremist content. But now anything that opposes the regime, anyone, in fact, even in the mildest of forms, is now classed as extremist, distributing extremist content. As Ukraine's United 24 media put it, Putin's new orders could reshape the Russian internet. In practice, it means that every phone could soon become a government snitch, an FSB agent in your pocket. Combine that with the criminalization of certain Google searches or the equivalent queries in Russian search engines like Yandex, and we are seeing a regime that is no longer content to just monitor dissent. It wants to anticipate and predict it where possible as well. As Katz warned, everything looks like a set of measures to prepare for something serious, blocking foreign services entirely, killing access, and they have a specific time in mind. So, what could be driving this urgency to crack down on digital searches and on the digital ecosystem? Is it mobilization or meltdown? What is the internet crackdown preparing for? Well, Katz gives us four hypotheses and poses the question, what is the Kremlin preparing for? Well, we'll unpack all four of those next. One, another round of mobilization. The first wave in 2022 was a disaster. Russian men queued not at enlistment offices, but at borders. The public humiliation of the regime was deep. But this time, Putin may be ready to roll out a far bigger draft. They came up with an alternative strategy to fuel the war with human meat. That's after mobilization failed, and that they were to pay people to fight. And it's worked. It's worked at least for 3.5 years. But now the money is running out, and the population is more aware of the risks and are demanding more money to serve. This is not a sustainable way for Russia to populate its army going into 2026. And 2025 will be significantly bloodier than 2024. Putin doesn't just want to hold the front, he wants to attack on multiple axes, claims Katz. It seems Putin's obsession to erase Ukraine supersedes any other consideration, including the economy or relations with Trump, and of course, the expendable lives of his own population. Mercenary recruitment is drying up. The financial incentives are no longer enough. And if the Kremlin wants millions under arms, it needs to cut off the panic people feel at the idea of serving. And also, it needs to cut off the coordination of any avoidance of conscription. And that means killing the internet. Possibility number two, a new war with NATO, perhaps. Yes, this. Again, something we've been saying repeatedly on Silicon Curtain, and it must be given serious consideration. It's not an extreme improbability. It's not a non-zero possibility in 2025 to 26. This should give us pause for thought and actually should compel us to rearm as well. Katz spells it out. September's Zapad 2025 military exercises near Belarus could provide cover for troop build-up near the Suwalki Gap, NATO's most vulnerable point. A war with the Baltic countries could promise Putin a quick and easy victory to impress not just his own population and propagandists, but Trump as well, claims Katz. To fight NATO, Russia must learn to function without any Western digital infrastructure, hence the suffocation of foreign services from Instagram to WhatsApp to cloud servers. Possibility three, economic collapse. 2025 is the year the illusion of wartime prosperity was shattered. Oil prices are falling, sanctions aren't going away, but intensifying with Europe's latest punitive package of sanctions. And now Europe has also finally lowered the oil price cap to limit Russian profits from hydrocarbons. Talk of deficits and recessions is rising on both sides. That includes regime propagandists and economists, as we witnessed at the recent St. Petersburg Economic Forum. This war was supposed to enrich people. Now the state may have to rob its own citizens, says Katz. If austerity comes, if it comes harder, hitting people in the form of more taxes, frozen accounts, stolen pensions, then the regime needs preemptive censorship before awareness and outrage can spread. Theory number four, maybe it's just Putin's whim to shut down the internet. Grandad hates what he hates. Sometimes autocrats don't need a reason, but when things move this fast with deadlines, it's rarely just a tyrant tantrum or coincidental. It's a signal. The ramping up of repression against internal dissidents, opposition, and satirists in 2021 was a strong signal of the impending full-scale war. That signal was ignored by many. And here we go again, spotting more regime signals of an impending change. Let's talk about the autumn trap and why this matters now. We should take a pause. We should ask ourselves, what makes autumn 2025 different from autumn 2024? Why was YouTube tolerable last year but not now? Suddenly, why must the Russian internet be controlled, strangled, muzzled? Why is that happening now? Maxim Katz leaves us with this haunting thought. If, for some reason, the old level of censorship is no longer enough, then we're not looking at stability, we're looking at escalation. This isn't just digital repression, it's preparation for scaling up the war and trauma if Putin is deluded enough to think that victory is within his grasp in Ukraine, but equally it could be a preparation for catastrophe, be it military, political, or economic, or for all those things at once. Putin has shown that he is not a great strategic thinker when it comes to war, but he has always been highly strategic when it comes to his own survival and by extension that of his regime. So he could simultaneously be preparing for victory and defeat and his own survival under either outcome. Putin will not go gentle into the tormented night of tyrants, but will drag as many bodies down with him as he can, oceans of other people's blood, before he spills a single drop of his own. If you think this won't affect you, think again. The Kremlin isn't just unplugging itself, it's also tightening the screws on those who still think, speak, or search in Russia or in Russian. Welcome to the digital Gulag, playing out in 2025. Well, we are long, long past 1984, but it turned out that this ominous date was merely postponed by a few decades, not cancelled. Putin's digital blackout may be targeting Russians first, but the blueprint it sets could go global, especially if backed by China and other authoritarian regimes.